Alright, so the Orlando Magic have been absolutely rolling without Paolo Banchero, and no, I'm not gonna do the thing where I suggest that they are better without Paolo. Way too early for that, but we can all see they are a different team without Paolo. For the first time and forever, the Orlando Magic are a top 10 offense in the NBA. And if we look at the last 8 games, which includes the game Paolo went out early in against the Knicks, in the last 8 games, they are the #2 offense in the NBA, only behind the Denver Nuggets. Now, you guys can't argue that it's hate or people are making up narratives. No, those are the numbers. They have been the second best offense in the NBA since Paolo went out. Now, I'm not saying Paolo can't come back and have a huge impact, and that's really what I want to talk about, because last year's playoffs to me was kind of a throwback, and it was really enjoyable when you looked at the way the teams were playing. Everybody had a different identity, but it was team basketball, right? Anthony Edwards, a shooting guard that is kind of rare these days. We don't really see the shooting guard only putting up 4 assists per game. Tyrese Halliburton, of course, we all remember the moments, the game winners, right? But you look at his stats from last year's playoffs, he only put up 17 and 8. And it does not feel like that at all. It feels like he was dominant. Even Shea, who puts up incredible numbers, he put up 30 points per game, 6 assists, 5 boards, but those are regular numbers, right? Those are great numbers. Jalen Brunson as well, right? Ridiculous numbers, but still, those are regular numbers that we've seen from a Kobe, from a Dwayne Wade, from a Steph Curry, from a Michael Jordan, right? These are phenomenal numbers, all-time great numbers, but nothing we haven't seen before. And my point with that is we've gotten so used to and so enamored with the guys that fill the stat sheet, like a Luka, like a Jokic, like a Giannis or Harden back in the day, or Westbrook back in the day, and it seems like in our minds now, we think more stats, better, right? Of course, we think more stats, better. In a lot of cases, that is true. But that's not really the way the game is supposed to be played. If you're one of the special talents out there, like a Luka or a Jokic, or even a James Harden back in the day, then fine. Even though I believe there's arguments against it for even guys that great, that the game is not really meant to be played that way and dominated by one player. But we get in our minds now and we want our favorite players, or teams want their young players to be this do-it-all. And I understand that. You want your players to be versatile. But I think we're seeing more and more that it's a team game. And if you have one player that's occupying so many different roles and he's not excelling at any of them, all of a sudden you're taken away from what other players do very, very well. And I feel like we're slowly starting to revert back to where basketball was, where players have roles on a team. Even if you are good enough to average 6 assists per game, maybe the best thing for your team is you only average 3. Something we're seeing in Toronto right now, where Brandon Ingram, if you guys have been around the channel, you know Brandon Ingram is one of my favorite players in the NBA. And I always stress to you guys how I believe Brandon Ingram is one of, if not the most underrated passer in the NBA. In Toronto, though, his passing is not on the forefront, and it shouldn't be, because he needs to be able to make the game easier for guys like Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes and Jamal Shed. If Brandon Ingram was playing the way he's accustomed to playing and just averaging, 5-6 assists, those guys wouldn't be as important to the team construct, and in turn, that would make them a worse collective as a team. So now when we look at the Orlando Magic, what's been happening is their guards have been empowered to be guards, whereas before it was really Paolo and Franz being the guards on this team, and Suggs and Anthony Black had to play off of that. Now those guys are pushing the ball. In these 8 games, they are #1 in fast break points by far. Jalen Suggs is throwing dimes all over the place. Anthony Black is getting to the rim. And you probably would have thought, no Paolo, that means Franz on ball more, Franz more assists. That's not really what's happening. We're seeing a lot of Franz at the 4. He's running hard, he's cutting hard, he's setting screens, and he's just playing with pace in general. And I think that's where Paolo struggles a bit. I think a lot of the great ISO scorers, not that Paolo's a great one yet per se, but a lot of them struggle with that idea of just go. They all want to set up their move and take their time. But a lot of times when they just go is when their talent takes over. But if I were a fan of the Orlando Magic, I would be extremely excited that Paolo is watching this and can come back and make a huge impact on this team. It's not like a Trae Young situation where Trae Young is who he is, that he can only really be who he is. Paolo can come back and impact this team in so many ways. And I wonder if we'll see some Paolo at the 5 minutes when he comes back, because I don't think everything is going to be solved. I still think Anthony Black is not a good fit with Paolo and Franz. There's still a question about Paolo and Franz as a fit together. But for now, this team can be very, very good if Paolo buys into the little things. And to be fair to Paolo, I don't believe it's like he wasn't completely bought in. He's rebounding crazy this year. He's shooting less this year. Assists are down. He has been trying to accommodate Desmond Bane and taking on a different role on this team. I just believe when you're out and you're sitting on the sideline and you're watching your teammates play in a way and play with a confidence and a freedom and a swagger that they don't play with you, I do think it does something to how you view yourself and how you view your teammates, and more so how you can help them as opposed to how they can help you. And I'm not saying Paolo had that mindset. I'm just saying when you're out and you got to watch it like everyone else is watching it, we're all watching like, man, Anthony Black can score 30. Paolo's probably watching the same thing. Like, where has that been? Jet Howard could score 30. Jalen Suggs could put up 11 assists in 16 minutes. Again, it's not going to be easy. Anthony Black still can't shoot. Paolo still can't shoot threes. It's not great fitting talent, but there is a lot of talent on this team, and Paolo can bring it all together if he accepts what's going on here, what's working, how they're winning, and if he comes back and tries to add to that instead of coming back and trying to make it the Paolo show. I think we're about to learn a lot about who Paolo is as a player. All the way back to the beginning of the conversation, just because you're putting up less numbers doesn't make you a lesser player in every scenario, right? Everyone can't be Giannis, can't be Jokic, can't even be a Jason Tatum, right? There's a real chance that Paolo can never be as good as Jason Tatum, but he can impact the game in so many ways if he is bought into what's going on. And you doing less in all likelihood is actually going to make the Orlando Magic a better overall basketball team. And I think we desperately need that in the NBA right now. There's not a lot of like great teams right now. It's OKC, it's Denver, the Rockets. There's a lot of bad basketball being played, and we all kind of penciled in the Orlando Magic to be one of those, I don't want to say great teams, but really good teams, a 50-win team, that caliber of a team. And Paolo coming back and embracing all the little things can make them that type of team. And in the Eastern Conference, as much as I've been impressed with the Pistons, impressed with the Toronto Raptors, I don't really see a reason why the Orlando Magic can't come back and really be competing for that 1 seed. Now, I don't see any team in the East getting to Denver, OKC levels. I just don't see it happening. But in terms of just talent, again, it's not the best fitting talent, but in terms of talent, I don't think there's a team out East that's has more talent than the Orlando Magic. It's just about, can they all put it together? And Paolo is the biggest piece of that. They went from a terrible watch to one of the more fun teams to watch in the NBA without Paolo. So again, I hope this changes. We got a perfect opportunity right now to see who Paolo is as a player, but maybe more so as a person. And I don't want to make too many personal character judgments or attacks on someone's character, but I do think it says something about you if you're watching this and you come back and don't change anything. More than anything, I'm not going to say it makes you a bad person or something like that, but more than anything, I think it shows a lack of self-awareness, which for your franchise star is actually a big, big detriment to building a team and building a culture. Again, I'm not putting any of that on Paolo yet, but we're about to find out a lot about who Paolo is. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Please like, comment, subscribe. It would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.